What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is my corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce space. What is this podcast all about? This is episode 245 of my corner of the internet. Like I said, bringing great service providers, sellers, and companies together to give great content for you, the either beginner Amazon seller, e-commerce seller, trying to grow your business internationally, wherever you are in your journey. We want to make sure we bring applicable and relevant information to help you grow your business moving forward. So with that being said, every podcast episode here in Crossover Commerce is presented by PingPong Payments. Who's PingPong Payments? Well, we are a cross-border payment solution helping more people keep their hard-earned money. When you have the fees and structures that are selling on Amazon, there seems to be nickel and diming everywhere. We're talking about referral fees. We're talking about all these storage fees. We're talking about increase in cost. Things like that, where it's cost of doing business. But why don't you just keep more of that when it comes to payment remittance or paying out entities in different currencies? How do you do that? You just go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast for all of our past episodes, but also to sign up for free today. It's free. Like I said, free is free. You can sign up for free. Check it out. See if it's going to be a great fit for you and your growing business, and save some money today. Who doesn't want to put more money to their bottom line to help grow their business overall? So go ahead and check it out. Go ahead and let them know that PingPong Payments at Crossover Commerce sent it to you. If you're new to the show, thank you for tuning in for the first time today. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or if you're listening to this later on, this is actually May 6th. But if you're catching this podcast episode audio format, thank you for tuning in and downloading all of our episodes. We come and bring guests today. We have a couple guests that we're going to be bringing on today. Like I said, with different topics that are going to be applicable to either their business or just what's relevant in the Amazon e-commerce space. So if you are listening live, you can ask questions or just say hello on the comment section below, or to the side if you're watching on YouTube. We see all those comments. Just let us know you're listening. Give us a thumbs up or anything like that. We'd love to interact with you. If you have a question about some topic that we have or are covering, you can also get that question answered live and be more than happy to get that taken care of for you. If you catch us on a replay, no sweat, just tag our guest or myself in it, and we'll make sure that we get you covered as well. So without further ado, I don't want to leave our guests waiting any longer. We have a great podcast lined up for you today. I actually have two that we're going to be doing, but two guests right now in this episode 245. A lot of people struggle, I think, with so many different barriers that have come up in the last couple of years with growing on Amazon. I think it's even more important to start with the basics and really hone in on your craft. That is in product selection, that's manufacturing, that's prep, label, and inventory. You have to make sure that every part of the process is going to be unlocked. So I brought two experts, people that have been in the business for a very long time and that are helping other brands and businesses kind of hone in on each aspect of that business and helping you grow. What's better than that? So without further ado, I am excited to bring on two members of the Breetly team. That is Robert Pollock and Josh Maynard of Breetly. Gentlemen, let me go ahead and bring you on and unmute you. Let's press the button. There we go. Perfect. I pressed it too many times too quickly. Josh, Robert, thank you so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce today.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for having us on.
Josh, you weren't there. I'm living the dream, man. This is Friday in May. So clearly it's raining outside and it feels like 50 degrees here in Indiana. So it's lovely here. You guys are what, in New York, or where are you guys at?
Yeah, we're in New York, where it's also 50 and dreary.
I feel like I haven't seen the sun in a couple of weeks, and that sounds very terrible. But hey, it's spring. It's supposed to rain, and but I'll be in New York next week. I think I'm not sure if you guys knew that or not. I'll be there. So for everyone who's listening to this, if you're in New York, hit me up. I'm gonna be there all week. ESGTG Ecom Co-op event, but also just meeting awesome people like hopefully you guys.
Yeah, we will be there also, so we will probably see you.
we'll run around and we'll say, hey, didn't we just see each other? So it'd be great. We'll reminisce about all the things that we talked about today. But hey, gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on. Since I have two of you, I want to make sure we divvy up kind of the who you guys are and make sure how we got to today. It's always fascinating, I think, how people get into e-commerce, especially the different windy roads. Maybe Robert, start with you. How do we get to Breetly, or were you in e-commerce before and this is just a stop along the way, or what's that journey been like for you?
So actually, yeah, I started in real estate. So yeah, no one really starts in e-commerce. Huh?
Started selling things, right? Properties, or what kind of real estate are we talking about?
Yeah, commercial office space, Midtown Manhattan, Florida, all across the U.S. Commercial office space, strip malls and stuff like that. Managed portfolios. Had my real estate license. I was in construction. I was everything real estate I was in. But then I got into e-commerce. I knew that was up and coming. Amazon was still, I won't call it in its infancy, but it was still small. I was like, hey, you know what? There's a whole bunch of brands. I knew a whole bunch of people. Started a company around 6 years ago. Markets Unite, went to brand owners, like manufacturers, say, hey, let us run your Amazon account before there were any companies like that. Now there's plenty. So basically that's where it started. And Breetly was actually two separate companies, two management agencies that merged during COVID, March 2020. And we've worked with between the two companies, 200 clients, managed just over $500 million in sales on Amazon. And last year, probably around 10-12 million in advertising spend we managed. So so
not too bad.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Josh, what about you? I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna go on a limb. Not in construction, or were you in construction? You guys met through construction, and Robert brought you over.
No. No, I started my career in e-commerce pretty much right out of college. I mean, I did a few odd and end jobs right out of college, but then around 2005, 2006, I was already based in that. So I've always been in e-commerce, and I've always been specifically in third-party e-commerce. So I've been working with Amazon since 2007, but I've done the whole litany of e-commerce sites, from eBay to StubHub to Jet to Sears to whatever decided to make themselves a marketplace at the time. And then at the early in my career, I bounced around from Amazon-centric companies to sports tickets, things like that, which is how I got to work with StubHub and SeatGeek and TickPick and Ace Tickets and all those people.
I was gonna say, you look like a huge Yankees fan.
Sore
subject. I'm just kidding, folks. If you're listening to this, Josh has a pretty bright. I didn't wear my Cubs hat, otherwise I would have brought it to the party. But he's wearing a Boston Red Sox hat, so
I'm actually okay. I'm not wearing a Boston Red Sox hat.
That's a Brooklyn hat.
This is a Brooklyn Dodgers hat.
Looking close. That is a Brooklyn hat, so that is my fault.
Do you think I could walk in Midtown Manhattan with a Boston Red Sox hat? I would never make it to work.
Very very ballsy of you if you were. No, I was gonna say, this is interesting. Like, tell me more.
Yeah. If I wore this on the subway, I would call every morning, I got stabbed again.
There you
go. Josh, you were part of the when they first launched advertising on Amazon, right? Like Amazon.
Yeah. So when they first launched their ad platform, I think this was 2011, somewhere around there.
Sure.
They it sounds weird now, but they were begging companies to do advertising, like because there was no real point. So they started they had this pilot program to train people on how their advertising platform worked, and they gave and it was like a 6-week training program of their just run through whatever. It remained a pilot program. They did not do a second class, either mainly due to a number of different factors that they decided not to continue with it. But yeah, when they first started their advertising platform, I was part of the original training class. to get it started.
That's awesome.
So I've been doing it. So from the ad platform for Amazon, I've been doing it pretty much as long as Amazon's been doing it.
That's all. So were you both different? And like you said, Robert, maybe is this clear? You guys said you had merged. Was this two separate companies, or what was this?
So I've been with Breetly for a year. Actually, Tuesday will be a year. So
Awesome.
if you want to get like a cake or bagels or something,
you made it.
That would be
year,
cool.
A year. Josh is still employed. There we go.
So I was brought in about a year ago. To this company. So I was not with them with the merger or whatever. But yeah, that's where we are now.
That's awesome. So you've seen obviously the gauntlet, you've seen the iterations that Amazon continuously comes out, but you've also touched many marketplaces, which is really cool. And
I mean, in 2008, I would have told you that eBay is the future. So
it still could be, but we don't know what's going to happen. They could come back. We don't know.
Yeah. I've definitely seen not just Amazon, but all the various marketplaces on who's, I think it was 2015. I met with Mark Laurie when he was launching Jet, telling me how that was going to take.
That's how you know if you've been in the business for a while. If you mention Jet.com, and you're like, oh, I remember Jet. I remember the hype around Jet for sure.
Yeah,
the whole acquisition by Walmart. Yeah,
I can't remember what conference it was. Some conference in Vegas, but they gave out so much swag. I think I still have like 5 of their T-shirts. They spend more on swag than everyone else at that conference combined, and they just gave it all away.
That's where you go to eBay to start selling vintage T-shirts like that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so you guys came together. You've been here a year. Maybe if people haven't been to Breetly, what's kind of like the company you guys? Because we titled today's topic pretty broad. For a good reason. Product selection, manufacturing, prep, label, and inventory planning. There's a lot to cover there. What does Breetly do? Does it do everything, or what are we talking about here?
So Breetly, our core focus is full account management. So we get licensed manufacturers, brand owners onto Amazon. They're used to selling to like the Costco's and the BJ's and the Walmarts of the world, TJ Maxx and all of that. We get them onto Amazon. We work with them, create a product selection, work with them in manufacturing goods specifically for Amazon, how to prep, how to label, how much to bring in, replenishments, things that end up selling out. We run the advertising. We do everything for our clients when it comes to Amazon. And then we take them off of Amazon, get them onto Walmart and Target. But we sort of are an all-in-one service. But we have broken up our services individually. So if anybody needs any individual help on any one subject or a handful, we're able to help them out as well.
And depending on some of our clients are well established and they've been around 70, 80 years and they don't need help with product selection. They have a core business. And then other clients are like, we do this, but we know that's not really good for e-commerce. Please help us figure out what we could like. We could make whatever you want. We have a factory, we have a warehouse. How can we sell on Amazon? And then there we go much deeper into product selection and research and things like that. So we do. So depending on the client, we do everything from helping out with logistics to picking, to literally picking products, or to guiding a client, to what would be best for them in terms of product.
Here's gonna maybe hopefully it's not a negative question. How do you guys stay on top of everything in that gauntlet? Because that's a lot to handle. A lot of people just either focus on PPC only or product selection, manufacturing only. How do you guys stay on top of all of that and consider yourself, better than everyone else in that space?
I mean, we have a decent sized staff, so we do have people who specialize in PPC and who.
Josh, I think we just lost your audio. I think so.
So
people who, so we have. Am I back or?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, sorry. So yes, we have people here who are better with wholesalers, and we have people, so that's kind of how we divvy it up. Not every person here is going to be the person you speak to about product selection and the person you speak about, inventory planning. But overall, if you have an account manager with us, that account manager has access to everyone who has all the experience and knowledge and whatever it was brought up that you need.
Yeah, so we have 10 people in-house. We have another 20 overseas that work with our in-house team. There are verticals so that each person has a specific direction that they go into. There is, the way that we like to break it up is each account manager doesn't have more than 6 to 10 accounts. I don't want to flood them and then lose capability of being able to provide the best service for all the other clients. So we like to keep a small list, a small book per account manager, and then he uses the different people within each vertical to do each specific type of task. We have someone specific for customer service messages, someone specific for shipping, someone specific for IP and infringement issues and account health problems. So every single field is well covered. And obviously Zendesk or some type of ticketing system, we happen to use Zendesk, and a whole bunch of different services. I mean, just because we don't manufacture our own products doesn't mean we don't need to use different SaaS programs. We need to use a lot of different softwares to help us get our job done.
Gotcha. A lot of subscriptions, a lot of different products and insights for sure. So I guess so what in this capacity, who are the people that are coming to you right now? Like who in the stasis of Amazon in e-commerce in general, there was this really big wave of, hey, everyone's jumping on in 2020, 2021, started to see this dip. For you guys, I'm curious, because we covered this gauntlet of all these different, entities and topics. Where's the most need of help right now? Where are people struggling? Where are Amazon sellers or e-commerce sellers coming to you guys and say, this sucks, I need help, I need you guys?
So Robert, you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say advertising would be a huge problem for people. And in regards to like indexing, making sure products are found, because if you're not paying to play, you definitely need to get your products indexed SEO wise. So in regards to redoing the content, a whole bunch of people reaching out for that. And I mean, they don't, specific companies, they might not all have the budget to hire an in-house team to run their account. And they've tried a couple of people, they hired someone in-house, they tried some other agencies that might not have been around for so long, and they've had bad experiences, and they don't even know how much money they end up making, with all the different fees, and it's hidden on that distribution every 2 weeks. They don't know what they're paying. So they definitely need help in regards to understanding their profitability. Josh, go for it.
So after advertising, which is definitely something that advertising is something that established sellers come to us and they're like, we losing money, we're not sure why. We're selling product, we're not sure. We have no, so that's for a lot of established products. And the other, I'd say the second issue that they've had specifically since last year is inventory. With Amazon putting, last year in April, when they put that limit on the number of units you could send in, that just like broke a lot of sellers. And now even when we have new people who were looking to sell on Amazon, they're like, oh, I'll buy 5,000 units to start or whatever it is. So I'll buy 1,000 units. And be like, well, Amazon's only gonna let you send in 1,000 units because you're a new seller. And then, they're like, well, I bought this from China, I don't have a place to send it. So in terms of inventory management of what Amazon wants from you and what affects your IPI score, how fast you need to turn around, what Amazon really wants you to have in their warehouse, which has changed over the years. Their philosophy used to be, send us everything, we'll be your warehouse, no problem, to don't you dare send us too much, 8 weeks, and that, is the max, to we're going to start charging you if we have your stuff for too long. And now we're going to start charging you, even, starting at 9 months, we're starting to charge. So certainly inventory management within Amazon's ecosystem is a huge issue for people, as well as the workaround of doing something like FBM becomes a large logistical lift for a lot of people. And we certainly help them navigate what goes on FBA, what goes on FBM, where, if Amazon's saying you can't send in, more than a certain number of units, where are you putting those units? You can't just, put them in your basement and hope your wife doesn't notice. Which is something that there are definitely sellers who order. They find some guy in Alibaba. He ships. They think it's all gonna. He'll get labeled in China for Amazon, and Amazon's like, we're not taking this many. So now you're stuck trying to figure out what to do with your unit. So that I'd say after advertising, just figuring out Amazon's own inventory crunch and limit, and it's ever changing. I think just to keep you on your toes, I don't know if they have a real logic behind it. I think they just have fun with it. We're going to make it 1,000 today, 2,000 next week. Who knows why they do it? But yeah, that would be, I think a large issue for a lot of sellers.
So with that being said, I hear a couple different things there, Josh and Robert. I hear people don't kind of look down the road; they look a little more short term. Is that a fair assumption to say? Of maybe the problems at hand are maybe like immediacy instead of planning ahead a little bit more or a little bit further down the road than, if this then this, almost like the logical SOP, route tree, if you will. Of is that what people really are struggling with?
I mean, for sure. I think there are a lot of people who see other people make money on Amazon and go, I'll do that. And then they don't immediately turn a profit and they're not entirely sure why. The clients we have that are willing to invest, add money at break even or even at a loss so they can get their rankings up, knowing that they may not make profit for 6 months. Now do better. There definitely is a little bit of short-sightedness in new Amazon sellers, and I think that also a lot of the just Amazon rules and regulations and paperwork they want from you. A lot of new sellers just are not prepared for a lot of the stuff Amazon asks for. They're like, oh, this is my product, and Amazon's like, cool, do you have brand registry? We want your trademark papers. And someone's like, well, I just own it. Did I actually go get a lawyer and trademark this, or did I just make up a logo and slap it on something? And so Amazon wants your insurance certificate, and a new seller who's not selling a ton of stuff now has to go Google what that is. So there's a lot of so I think for new sellers, it's the short term is very difficult for them because a lot of stuff gets thrown at them really quickly. And that makes it difficult for them.
Unfortunately, for our clients, at least, we're here. We guide them through the process. We handle whatever we could handle for them on their behalf. Certain things we can do. Obviously, we slow walk them through the process so that they get it. And then after their first season or two, that's when our clients start seeing the long term and they start understanding the whole ecosystem and how they need to start thinking.
So when we
go ahead.
When we pitch clients, we pitch them as like a 2-year investment. Like you're gonna, from at the beginning, just getting your logistics in line. It could take months, and getting your new products and what. So we try to at least set expectations for new clients of when you're really going to make money. You really in year 2, not necessarily after 2 years, but in year 2 is really when we see most of our clients take off from doing a few thousand to a few million.
So with that being said, is there, I guess a lot of the hand-holding that you have to do is the beginner sellers. What about if someone is a little bit more established? Is there a difference in kind of expectations, but also struggles of you? Oh yeah, it used to be this way, and like I've been selling for maybe 3 years now, or some more of that SMB size thing. Is that difference in struggle, or that it's just a whole different ballgame for that?
I would say definitely some of our sellers who have been selling to brick and mortar retail, and they've had companies for 50 years have struggled to pivot. They know they have to, and they know some of them like, oh, my son-in-law keeps telling me I have to start selling online. So they know they have to, and they're willing, but there's a lot of just ingrained business thought that was correct or might still be correct for other things that they have difficulty either letting go of or just moving us, moving a little bit on. So we do have that, especially on people, real established companies that do, millions and millions of dollars, just not on e-commerce.
And things are always changing on Amazon. So no matter how long you've been selling, they're throwing curveballs at you every few weeks or every few months where major things change. So even sellers who are established, who came to us later on after they launched their accounts and say, hey, we pivoted away from previous people and we want to come to you guys. Most of the time, I mean, we're dealing with the business owners and they're not the ones who have ever managed their own Amazon account.
Right.
So there is turnover on the lower ranks of the people who are managing the accounts. Or we always make sure that we have a point person that we deal with, and that's the ones we hold the weekly meetings with and get all the information about the products and ask all the questions to, should we have issues and we can't solve them ourselves. So we definitely, I mean, no matter what, there's a lot that needs to get done, and having an in-house team that you employ gets very expensive. So, definitely there's a lot of bang for your buck when you have an agency like us. We are very well priced, and anyone at home, Breetly.com, visit.
I was gonna say, already in the comments that he's beating me to it for you guys. So if you're already listening to us, or for more about Breetly, check out Breetly.com. In the comment section, everyone make sure you check it out. If you're listening to this, it'll be in the show notes as well. Josh, you brought up a good point. Forecasting, and Robert, you mentioned on this too. You brought up forecasting, pricing changes. They're constantly changing. So if you guys are effectively doing two years out, how are you guys effectively doing that and forecasting the changes that Amazon, quote unquote, throws the curveball at you with a whim or whatever? How do you forecast for that?
So forecasting like new things like that come out of nowhere is a little difficult.
Sure.
Like when they made the inventory crunch last year, that
they didn't even tell us about it. They just dropped it on people. There was no like news bulletin a week before.
Yeah, I would say us, along with most people, were relatively unprepared. But we, within a month or two, we had a plan. But in terms of forecasting, so we will start off like with a lower line of products, a few products. Hey, let's start here. Let's test the market. In the beginning, we're doing a lot of competition research. Even for established brands, trying to find whatever white space there is, trying to find just, right price point, right advertising, right, at least for the first few products. That's why when year two, we tend to go bigger because now we're not looking at just competition data. We're looking at our own data and seeing what worked and what real, and that's how we grow the second year. Is the first year, or 6 months really. We're making a lot of assumptions based on competition, and we're using all the various softwares that are out there, whatever, from Jungle Scout to Helium 10 to whatever, to Scout, the Smart Scout, whatever. There's 2 dozen of them that I think we sometimes forget we pay for every month.
And they thank you for your service.
Yeah, they're done. Yeah.
And to jump on that for the short term, I mean, when you are choosing the new product, it does come back down to even setting up your case packs. And then when you have to now take into account these inventory restrictions, when we're launching a new account, how many styles do you have? 6? Are they color size variations? So how many SKUs do you have? Just in general, a lot of people don't even have UPCs for each size and color. They just have one UPC assigned to a specific style. So we work with them to make sure that, okay, because of these inventory restrictions, get your case packs as small as possible. I'd love to get a 12 or an 18 case pack of like color, like size in one box to make sure that Amazon doesn't split the shipment up to 100 different places. And so that you're able to test. And I don't even like to, when it comes down to shipping to Amazon, with that 1,000, I don't want to eat up that 1,000 unit space right away. Take up 2/3 of the space, because you're going to have to replenish once you have some hot sellers that you need to really move on quick. So
yeah, and in the beginning, there's a lot of hand holding, at least on our end. Like, we have had people send in stuff that comes back as oversized. They have no idea why. They're like, it's only like a 5-inch thing. How's it? And you see their packaging, and you're like, this is not, this is why it's happening. Your packaging is all over the place.
Is it as simple as you guys
curling out on the side, air stuck in the poly bag, so it's really a lot bigger when it gets to Amazon than their warehouse measured it?
Is it as simple as that? Like, I say simple for as experienced as you guys are, and I wanna kind of get, this is a maybe pat on the back. Is it as simple as just getting your eyes on something, as simple as like looking at a product and you can just instantly just assess, almost like a doctor, right? You're like a doctor of assessing business failures or what's my symptoms and issues. You're like, well, this is it because it comes from, you have a manufacturer who overstuffs it or packaging. You need to reconfigure the source of it instead of treating the symptoms. Does that make sense? Is it as simple as that for you guys that you can self-diagnose?
Sometimes, I mean, we through our collective experience within the company, like every account manager can look at a listing and tell you what's wrong. Like we don't need there are softwares that like Chrome extensions that give you, for the most part, everyone here can look at it and be like, your pictures are bad, your title is wrong, your description needs work, you're clearly not indexing, so for you're in the wrong category, so from a glance, just from looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of different listings, you do get an idea of a pretty instant look of what is wrong. And then when people come to you with specific issues, which we actually had a call with a client today who was saying, oh, he had this inventory issue, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, yeah, you have it. 6 of our clients have it. This is what you need to do. So it's just, practice basically. You see it enough.
Looking at the listing, you're not able to see what the problem is just by looking at a listing. A lot of the stuff, the high fees or what's affecting their account is all in the back end. So we are going to have to get in, we'd have to get access. We'd have to diagnose the account. We'd have to look at it, see where all these different problems are, look at their distributions. Well, how much are you getting charged? Well, wait a minute. This seems really high. What are you doing? How is your warehouse packing it? Things like that. I mean, earlier in the week, there was like a ton, not a ton, but maybe like 4 different accounts that we managed who were saying that they were getting notifications from Amazon where we can't scan your barcode label. Turns out that the factory is putting the labels, they're printing out the barcodes on shiny, glossy labels. And that's not allowed. Yeah.
Right.
And then, it's messing up their scanners. So and the factory never told them and never told the manufacturer, the license holder, we're changing up the labels that we put on it. Normally they wouldn't, that's not even a thing.
Right.
So we have to really keep a keen eye. And as soon as an issue pops up, well, why, how come, let's go, standard size inventory shipped in a box that has a side longer than 25 inches. And then they're getting these fees. How come they're not accepting my shipments? They might not realize. I mean, we told the client around in 2019, well, you're not allowed to ship to Amazon in a box over 25 inches. And some people forget, and you just have to remind and send the documentation over again. Communicate. We speak with the factories themselves. We deal with the distributors themselves the warehouses themselves, because we know the questions to ask, and there'll definitely be something lost in translation if our client was to then go back to the factory, and what are the right types of questions to ask. So we do take that next step and get involved in places that our client might not be paying for, but it's what's best for our clients. So we make sure we take care of them 100%.
That's awesome. Is there a source that you guys talk about, like, hey, that I just didn't know about this, or I thought it was this way, but it's not? Is there like a consistent source that's feeding people wrong information of, like, if it's from Amazon and they're just like, I'm reading Amazon's website and it's telling me this, but it's actually wrong? Like, is there consistent feedback that you guys are getting of, I thought it was right and this is why I thought now we're in this issue because of it?
I think oftentimes, and this frustrates a lot of people, that because Amazon runs as like this disconnected company, there's often contradictory information coming from Amazon. We recently had this with our ad platform, specifically with sponsored brands. We would go to their website and they would say this, and then we got on the phone with our ad manager and he's like, no, it hasn't been like that for a year. Just no one updated it on the website. So I think that's definitely a source of confusion or contention, is that they're getting information. They'll get an email from the ad platform, and then they'll get an email from regarding inventory, and an email regarding their
they go into the help section on
right.
Amazon. Get the question.
And then a lot of the automated stuff, like we've had products flagged for wildly incorrect things that we'll call up seller support and they'll be like, yeah, okay, it's fixed. And you're like, well, why'd you do it in the first place? Like, oh, that's not us. That's someone else who's randomly shutting down. So I think that's always a source of confusion for a lot of our clients, is that a lot of information is coming from different places, despite it all being under the Amazon umbrella.
Interesting. So does that provoke people enough to move away from Amazon, in your guys' opinion, of I would like to have more control over my ecosystem, whether it be FBM or a different marketplace? Is there that enough contention yet?
I think there are people who would, if not for the money, like
everything comes back to money.
Yeah, it's like they will they would not put up with the amount of stress and other things for different marketplaces, but they know, like, okay, so this went wrong, this cost me that, but then I moved, but we made a profit, and so we do see clients like trying to at least diversify and go on places like Walmart, go on Target, to try to get to try to not be beholden to Amazon completely. Because the last thing someone wants is to build a $20 million business and then have Amazon just shut you down for 6 weeks over over a violation. And by the time you get it fixed, you've lost quite a bit of money.
Yeah, no matter what Amazon throws at them, they're still 50% of all sales that happen in e-commerce is still happening on Amazon. So they're not getting turned away. Well, we're not dealing with Nike Direct or IKEA Direct who doesn't want to sell on Amazon. But what I do see is people are not ready to go over to a Walmart or a Target yet, because they're not as sophisticated or built out as of a marketplace as Amazon. So they see it as it's going to be too much of an investment without possibly getting enough sales out in the short term. And that's, again, going back to your question, is there short term stopping them from growing? Sometimes, 100%.
So, Robert, I'm going to dive into this. I think it's fascinating. Do you think it's more platform issue than it is for sellers who are ready to diversify and ready to build upon a business that, have to learn a little bit more? Obviously, international is a whole different ballgame. We're talking about different platforms are, clearly different. You need to have, like you guys at Breetly, have your own team dedicated to Walmart or to Alibaba or to, Mercado Libre, Rakuten, you name it. There's hundreds of, Target. Yeah. Even Target, like the number 2 and 3. And now Shopify is now building out even more of a, they bought Delivery yesterday. Breaking news of they're acquiring a now 3PL and delivery system. So there's more marketplaces emerging that are trying to take it on. Is it more of the marketplace that's not ready, or is it more of the seller who's like hasn't had their own business kind of tight knit and ready to grow for that next level?
I would say it would probably be on the seller. I mean, tons of sales happen on Walmart and Target. It's not like they're not a developed enough platform. But our clients, talking about in order to deliver, for a lot of these marketplaces, not either. Not Walmart, they got WFS, but for the Targets of the world, most of our guys, they're not set up to fulfill one by one unit themselves, and that's why you use Deliver. So we have clients who do use Deliver, and that's when that's when that conversation does take place. Okay, I'm down. Let's go. Let's spread. And that's where we're able to then start with all the integrations, work their copy over, get them onto Target or Walmart, or even build a Shopify store for them. But I would say it's definitely more on the client side.
Go ahead, Josh.
I think that over the last few years, a lot of sellers have just relied on FBA so heavily that they haven't really invested in their own infrastructure. They'll use a 3PL, even if it's expensive. They'll send stuff in directly from they'll make an order in China, send it directly to Amazon. So because they've had that for so many years, and it's become kind of a crutch to them investing in their own infrastructure. Now, when they're being told like these platforms or these other marketplaces don't necessarily provide you with all the things that FBA does, there is this hesitancy. And also the other hesitancy is they want to stay with Amazon as long as they're making money on it. It's not like no one wants to leave, because it's too profitable for them at the moment. If that were to change in a few years, which it might, as like every time we speak with Walmart or Target, it's clear that they're just pouring money into their marketplaces. They're hiring, they're getting, developers, whatever they're doing. I don't think they're there yet, but they're trying to be, and it's not for lack of effort and money.
Well, here's maybe a philosophical question. Of entrepreneurship is its own ballgame, as you guys probably know this. If you're running your own business, you want to be more than likely first to market. You're trying to outbeat competition. If every person who has a podcast or a microphone in front of them, or someone who's recording something, is saying you want to go where competition doesn't exist, or you want to go where people are shopping on Walmart.com. They're going to those other marketplaces. If I know that there's not competition, unlike Amazon, albeit printing money, wouldn't I want to be first to market in my category and reap those rewards as the marketplace grows and takes over? Or do I have to wait, and why would I wait around if that's a true entrepreneur?
You are correct that there's certainly less competition, but also the marketplace is smaller, so that's you could be first on Target, but it's unlikely you're going to just reach the same just number of customers.
Right. And isn't 5% more incremental better than zero? Like that's what I'm saying. Is like if you're doing the math, I mean, I guess what does it take for people to outweigh what's that? Okay, now I'm like Walmart's ready for me to, jump on it. Like I need it to make 10% of my overall revenue. Like, is there a threshold and monetary wise? If money's the end all be all, what does it have to take for an entrepreneur nowadays that you guys are working with to even make that jump?
I think if you're just getting started now and I think it would be advisable to at least start with Walmart and like do Amazon, but then start your Walmart business now so that, take, a certain percent and try to at least build the infrastructure so that when they eventually get to the level where they're competitive or near competitive, you're already established there.
There is a little bit of an issue. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Robert.
There is a little bit of an issue because, the majority of our clients, they are bigger companies. So when they first launch, it's not, the income stream doesn't happen yet so fast immediately. So they want to see a proof of concept that we could sell, that we'll be able to handle it. So before they proceed to that next step of, let me get a warehouse, let me increase my expenses, let me pour out some funds here to get to the next step. Like you're saying, it's a smaller marketplace, Josh. The sales won't be there as Amazon is. So they're still relying on that clutch, but 100,000%. These up and coming marketplaces Target, I have clients on Target, they don't even have to advertise because they're getting the sales. Their products are on page 1 based off the search terms. There's hardly any competition there. So I tell everyone to go on to Target.
The other impediment to the other marketplaces is just their software is just not there. Like you want to sell on these other marketplaces, and now you have to go to a deliverer and you have to get some, an API connector. At every point of your now logistics pipeline, there's potential for something to go wrong. And it happens all the time. We constantly have listings that just aren't showing up somewhere. The pricing is wrong or the imaging is wrong because it's all pulling from there 3 different places, and they all have to connect. So right now there's a lot more like project management of just selling on these other marketplaces because you need other softwares and other companies, and you're paying other companies, and you're paying fees to, you may not be paying FBA fees, but you're paying deliver fees, and you may not be paying, Now you're paying for an API fee or whatever it is. So
API connection in, that's an extra charge.
Right. So those act as impediments. Not that they're impossible. We do it, so it's obviously, but it does add a wrinkle to the ease that up until recently Amazon has made. It's like, just send us your stuff and we'll sell it for you.
So maybe again, going off of this, if I were to expand again, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about international. In your guys' opinion, is it easier or more likely that a customer would look more international through Amazon's own marketplace ecosystem, or to jump to a marketplace like a Walmart or somewhere else like a Wayfair or something here in the United States?
Yeah.
And then obviously if you're in different worldwide marketplaces, that's completely different topic.
Great question.
We're all about the great questions here on Crossover.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to VAT. Now you get into tax issues where so many sellers, Amazon sellers.
But you guys cover a lot, so I'm assuming these conversations come up quite a bit. Of same thing with PingPong. People go, would I rather, do I want to grow as a marketplace, brand, or do I want to grow as an Amazon brand? And again, that's the next step. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, just like plug it into Amazon or go to Canada, like you said, Robert. There's VAT, GST, there's localization, there's different shipments and logistics issues of compliance. Different categories can get in and out of tariffs and blah, 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 blah. I'm not here to dismantle, any sort of notion of, oh yeah, international growth at Amazon. But which one's the lower barrier, if you will, if you guys had to pick?
I mean, I think international it's easier to get on because you can just do it through Amazon, but it comes with, like, I find a lot of people get scared off when you're like, you need to file taxes in England now or whatever it is. You need to you need a European 3PL that So I find not that like people are like, they understand the U.S. marketplace, and now like we had a client, like his socks just didn't sell in Europe, whatever. Like maybe they don't wear those. Who knows?
You don't believe in socks in Europe. Let's just
like it made no sense. But they did what So he was like, "Oh, I would," So like you're looking at It's
it only sends to the local address, and then what are you going to do with it? Destroy the inventory? I'm not going to pay to ship it back to the U.S. What do I do with it? There's that. There's the converting the language in regards.
It's also, if it was me and it was my brand, I would want my brand to be its own entity. Like it's nice to be an Amazon brand. It's nicer to be a company that is diversified and where you're in a position where if some new third-party website comes up, you're in a position to be like, okay, we're already selling on 4 or 5 of them. Let's just add this one. And I think that a lot of our more successful established clients don't see Amazon as a channel, not necessarily as the end goal.
Okay. I like that. I like that answer. It's a channel, not an end goal. So in that conversation, when do you guys see, or when do people feel like that next step is warranted? Like, is there a monetary threshold? I go back to the monetary threshold. Is there a sales threshold? How do you guys naturally bring up, like, hey, is this the time where we explore those options of whatever growth is? I can't imagine being an entrepreneur and just being happy in one marketplace. Like you said, it's a channel, not it's an end goal. So what's the end goal for most of your clients there?
You can go.
So I'll come back to that question, but I just wanted to tag on to the previous one.
Yeah,
a lot of our clients have the licenses, like for the Disney and all these other big brands, and awesome. Licenses by territory. So they don't necessarily have the ability to sell in Europe. So that is also
hampered by product. Okay, I get it. Thanks, Disney. We get it. Like you control everything. We know. No, that makes sense. I know that's a one-off. And again, it's same thing with food. Same thing with like consumables, something topical, anything like that. I understand it's category dependent. I guess for you guys, what's the end goal from the clients that you are seeing in your portfolio? And clearly, we want more people who are listening to this to explore that with you. Majority of your people, what's their ultimate goal? Because you guys have to help them get to that. What is that goal?
So once we start seeing success on Amazon, we start start seeing sales, and we replenish. And then, again, to season 1, season 2, obviously this conversation of moving beyond Amazon doesn't happen during that first line that they run in their first season of goods. But once they start seeing, like I have clients saying, I want to expand as much as possible, connect us into not only just e-commerce, any retail stores also. One of the owners of the company, he sells in retail. He has a separate company that he owns, and he's got connections to different stores and other marketplaces that, what are those? Like the deal sites,
like coupon sites, or like a Brett's Deals, or an eBay.
No, like a Zulily.
Oh,
the flash sale sites and stuff like
flash
that.
sale sites. Okay.
So they're coming to us. They want to expand as much as possible, and once they start getting that juice and that pump up, where I want to push because now they're seeing things starting to move. That's where it's the easier way to get them into the Walmart or the Target, then taking them internationally. That might be the next step after we take them to the other marketplaces. The whole thing is get your toe in the water, be comfortable with it. So rule your own backyard, rule the US, get your products out there as far as possible. And if they have the ability to bring their brands internationally, that would be that third leg with taking them to outside the country.
Gotcha. Josh, any counter arguments or anything to add on to that?
No, I mean, very few. Most of our clients, the thing they want at the end of the day is, profit. Not to too fine a point. They want to be profitable. They want to sell their goods. We have a number of international clients who have a very different business mindset than U.S. And they're very straightforward. Like, we're like, well, Amazon does this. Like, okay, cool. Like, how much money do I make? And and can I make more elsewhere? It's very straightforward. And that's, I think, the end goal of a lot of these companies is just like, can I make money? Yes. Okay, cool. So then let's move to Walmart too. Let's do whatever you want. You want to sell on wafer? We'll sell on wafer. You do it, whatever you think is a way to make some money, we'll do it. We're not evangelicals for Amazon. If we can make money, we'll make money. If not, we'll move somewhere else. And I think that's a lot, that's the prevailing attitude of most of our clients.
Bottom line rules everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can save.
You might as well save that money, and you can pay all of your vendors via PingPong. There you go.
Right. I was gonna say you took my little and you could do that a little bit easier with PingPong. No, with that, if you guys are you guys selling right now? I know we've already hit the top of the hour, and I want to thank you guys for hopping on today. My last question is, you guys have been in the business a lot. Would you guys ever start your own brand here shortly or in 2022? And if so, is there a category or something that you look at as kind of a more of a, hey, there's opportunity here in this regards? Have you guys ever said that or thought it, or would you do it yourself if you weren't running other people's?
We got NDAs. I wouldn't take other people's ideas. I wouldn't, do one thing ourselves and then tell somebody else, don't do it. No. We threw the idea around with finding different niches, maybe finding certain products. We had an idea in the office that everybody here will be part owner.
Just jump on it. I was gonna say, yeah. So I'll put it in more context. Is there opportunity still on Amazon to sell?
Oh, plenty. There's plenty of opportunity to sell. You just have to know how to find it, and that's where a lot of the people get lost. They don't know how to find and navigate and identify those areas, those white spaces, and that's one of the things that we do. But I wouldn't see ourselves coming up with our own products. That'll put us in competition with our clients. That's a complete, yeah.
Josh, anything for you?
Sure. I would say a couple things in terms of Amazon feels saturated at times. And then when you do a search for a specific product, after page 2, you're like, well, there actually only is like 20 things here. Like, you can go into a store and find more, So there are definitely categories that are not, saturated, that are certainly places to be. and competition shouldn't throw you off too much. There are places where we have clients in just cutthroat categories, and they make money because even though there's a ton of competition, there's a ton of their potential client base is humongous. On the other hand, a way that I see a lot of people going and having success is looking for categories where brand doesn't matter. Whether it's making some low-end kitchen item like a corkscrew where I don't know where I got mine, but I have one.
Right.
Things that looking for everyday products that everyone has and that they buy on a regular basis. I would say try to shy away from one-time purchases, things that people buy every 5 years. Is it difficult to launch a brand? But things that are relatively, maybe you replace something every year, every 2 years, and people don't really know where their knives and forks came from. But they have them, and they have ice cube trays, and they have phone chargers so just things that people aren't brand beholden. Obviously, clothing is very difficult since people are super brand centric on things like that. So that would be like my advice to people looking. Like, there's definitely space, and the best space is where everyday items that people buy that they just need and are
and don't necessarily not seasonal.
Sure. Yes. There also are like one-time opportunities. Like, I think it was 5 years ago, I made these sunglasses that were for the solar eclipse. Yep. Yeah, so we sold millions of them, but not anymore. So it was really I think the person who did it still has them in a warehouse for the next solar eclipse. But
it's coming up, in a few years. Yep.
Those are long FBA fees. Those are expensive.
It's worth it for millions of units. Yeah, exactly. No, those are all good points, and I appreciate that. For more information, so for you guys, again, I appreciate you spending an hour here in my corner of the internet. And I know we're going to probably see each other next week. For people who are interested, they're listening to this, they just didn't get their questions answered, or they have them later on. How do they reach out to you guys and connect?
Well, by all means, you can email us, hello@breetly.com. That's I get those emails. You can email me direct, robert@breetly.com. You can do that. You can go onto our website, breetly.com, and click the contact us button from there. We are on LinkedIn. We have our own podcast on YouTube as well.
I was going to say, tell me about that. What's the podcast cover?
Well, it's called the Amazon Gold Standard.
Okay.
And we just started it. It's not only limited to Amazon, though. We only have 2 episodes on there.
Okay.
So we'll be bringing more. But it's basically anything that's retail, anything that's focused around retail, e-commerce, brick and mortar, doesn't matter. Even service providers, anyone who provides a service, I'll bring them on. Want to talk about what they offer, what it can be used for, how it can better their business, and try to bring traffic to them. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce today. Now I call you guys friends of the show, so you're more than welcome to hop on anytime and share awesome information like we did today. A lot of jam-packed information we got to build into an hour, so I appreciate that from both of you. We'll catch you guys next week for sure. So we'll see you here shortly, and sorry about the mix-up with Brooklyn versus Boston. Sorry about that, Josh.
It's all good.
We don't want you to be stabbed in the subway, that's for sure. So, hey, thanks, guys. We'll catch you guys next week. All right.
Bye.
No problem.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and thank you, everyone who hopped on Crossover Commerce today. This is episode 245 of my corner of the internet. I call Crossover Commerce. Make sure you check out Breetly at Breetly.com. Again, the About Us or Contact Us page. That is the best way to contact Josh or Robert. Let them know you heard us on Crossover Commerce. We have a lot of great companies who come on here, service providers. They hear the podcast and they say, hey, I need to know more about that person. That's why we obviously give you the information to contact them to help businesses grow. That's what we're all about here on the Crossover Commerce. So that being said, thank you guys for coming on. Couple quick notes that you might have seen at the bottom. of the tickers. Just a little, we have a second episode today. We're going to be mentioning a little bit about the Mexico trip. We are a media sponsor of the Mexico trip. Go to themexicotrip.com. We talked about sourcing logistics a couple episodes ago from Mexico, why to look at maybe Latin America for your options. And maybe if you're having trouble shipping with your shipping and logistics from China or India or anything like that, you can definitely check them out and see the mastermind or just the webinar. There's a replay there. Just go to themexicotrip.com/webinar to get that replay. And just if you're interested in going down there, make sure you sign up for that today. And also we'll be at the Ecom Co-op event next week as well on Thursday. So a week from yesterday, 6 days ago until that event. If you're interested in attending as a seller or as a service provider, let me know and we'll be able to go to that. It's in New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan, at Tactical Solutions Warehouse, where there's going to be a lot of networking, lots of events, and a lot of mind trust that people are meeting with each other. So definitely check that out as well. Go ahead and follow us on social media for more information on that. That being said, I'm Ryan Cramer. This is Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next time later today on another episode of Crossover Commerce. Take care.